Hi, welcome to Dubsta again. So I did a little video yesterday about the perils of getting into some of the social media groups when you first join the Volkswagen scene. So leading on from that, what I wanted to perhaps cover today was perhaps a bit more of a survival guide, or what I found has helped me to get through some of these things without getting too much collateral damage on the way. And I suppose the first thing to remember when you go and join a big group or a big forum is there's a lot of people. And when there's a lot of people, there's a lot of characters. And when there's a lot of characters, there's going to be clashes. So you really shouldn't expect to get on with everyone. First thing to know. And not everyone has the same mannerisms or way of talking to people. So again, you're not going to get on with everyone. You should really bear that in mind before going in too heavy. So, size of the group, really important. The different levels of experience in the group as well. So some of these guys have been in the Volkswagen scene, owning vans, cars, whatever else, for years and years and years, and really know their stuff. And there are other guys who are quite new who perhaps don't know as much. Par for the course, really. That means that some of the information that you'll receive back is opinion, whereas some is experience. Separating the two can be quite challenging. So just remember those things before you go in with a question. Because if you ask a vague question and expect a specific answer, you're knackered. Ain't going to work. So there's also some tips and tricks as to how not to end up having too many people take the mickey. Okay? I've written a couple of notes here because I want to try and stay on track. Bing. Nice bit of feedback on new products we're launching. So get onto our Instagram and have a look at what we're doing there. Working on some really cool stuff. Well, I think it's cool. The guys think it's cool. You might not. Tell me, let me know. Right, surviving the groups. Before operating any machine, surely you should read the instruction manual. That's what I think anyway. You wouldn't go and try and drive or operate something that you've never operated before without any kind of instruction or anything else. It surprises me how many people don't know what certain dash lights mean in a vehicle that they own. You've got a handbook, I guess. Most people have a handbook, and if you haven't got the handbook in the vehicle, then you perhaps can access it online. Familiarise yourself. It's not that hard. You know what the indicator light is. You know what the headlight light is on the dash. So some of those others that come up, it perhaps might be worth knowing what they are yourself before you go in a group of maybe several thousand people and ask them what this light on the dash means. Because also, lights on dashes can mean different things depending on what they're doing. So again, if you just say, what does this light mean? You're going to get a load of silly answers. But not being funny, you've asked a silly question because you should have some understanding of what it is before you start. So that would be my first bit of advice, is familiarise yourself with the manual. It's not too difficult to work your way around the book. If you see a light on the dash, get your handbook out. It's easier than going onto the forums and getting your ass kicked, basically, for asking something that you really should have already known. Other things not to, definitely don't do. Don't ask how much your van is worth. Firstly, it's subjective, i.e. no one can tell you what it's worth. And secondly, everyone's going to tell you 27p, because that's the going answer for what's it worth. The problem with asking what it's worth is the spec of the vehicle can change. The quality of a conversion can change. Mileage, age, engine, service history, mods, the list goes on and on and on and on and on, and it keeps going. So if you ask what it's worth and only put one picture up, expect to get quite a lot of flack for that. The reality is, it's worth what someone's prepared to pay for it. And I've always found, for me, the best way is to go onto eBay and Auto Trader, try and find something of a similar spec, and try and price it above or below, depending on what you think yours is worth compared to what else you find. A little bit of research, Doesn't take long to do. The thing is, if you put it on eBay at a price and you put it a little bit high, you can drop back. If you put it on Facebook and loads of people tell you far less than what you thought it was worth or what you think is market value, you're going to feel fed up. And you may not actually get the money that you wanted for it because you'll advertise it too cheap. So, don't ask what it's worth. Really bad question to ask in the forums. What other ones have we got? Oh, I've got a vibration. Okay. You might want to try describing that vibration, because I've got a vibration that will also lead to many, many, many answers that aren't helpful to you. And discerning which answers are actually useful to you could almost be impossible. The reality is there are lots of different things that can cause a vibration in a vehicle. Something simple like wheel balance, tyre wear, wheel bearing, bushes, CV joints, track rod ends, drop links, and then you can get on to more serious things like dual mass flywheels and gearboxes and things like that as well. Now, I've personally experienced this where I've gone on one of the forums and said, I've got a vibration after I've had my van mapped. Anyone got any ideas what it might be? Please don't tell me it's the dual mass flywheel, because it's fairly recent and I'm pretty sure it's not that. So the responses I got were bad map, bad map, bad map, DMF, 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 bad map, bad map, bad map, DMF, DMF, DMF. Okay, DMF is one of the most expensive bills you're going to have on your van. If you do that and it doesn't solve the vibration, you are not going to be the happiest person on the planet. Bad map. Okay, I've gone to one of the most reputable tuners in the country. I've done my research beforehand, and I quite honestly don't believe it's a bad map. There was something else at fault. And having chased around after many, many replacement parts and bits and pieces, then what we found was that it was a collection of different things on a van that had done 140,000 miles that collectively allowed a lot of movement. Movement equals vibration equals not what you're looking for. So essentially my van's had a whole new front end when it comes to suspension. It doesn't rattle anymore. Okay, next thing not to ask in the big groups and forums. Do not ask for inspiration. It's not a smart move. You might get battered by some people of get your own ideas and stuff like that, or here's another one. The other thing is that, I touched on this on the last video, Volkswagen is about individuality. So if you're looking for inspiration, are you asking to copy something? Because a lot of the responses you'll see are, oh, where did you get that? Where can I buy it? And for me, who wants to be an individual, that doesn't really cut the mustard. So if you're looking for inspiration, go on Google and do an image search. There's plenty of stuff out there. Go on Facebook and do some searching. There is tons and tons and tons of stuff out there for you to have a look at. So they would be sort of some of my top tips to avoid getting battered in the groups and forums. Next thing, use the search function. It's there for a purpose. If you've got an issue, it's very, very likely that someone has had that issue before. It could be that they've had that many issues like that before. It could be that it's a common problem that most people already know about. If you do a quick search and you can't find what you're looking for, then you're more likely to get a helpful answer back from the crowd that you're asking from. If you go in there with a question that's been answered 100 times that day, you might start to understand why you get a bit of sarcasm come back. And sarcasm can come across as many things when it's online because you can't tell the tone and the way it's being said. So that would be something that I'd very much recommend, is use that search function, particularly on the big groups, because the big groups have got a lot of content on there that you can refer to. Okay, next thing. Don't expect a concise answer to a vague question. Now, this is something that should be fairly normal in day-to-day life anyway, but if you ask something really vague and expect any help in the answers that you get back, you've probably missed the point a little bit. So I would definitely recommend, think about your wording for your question, be specific. If you've got pictures, videos or anything else that will go with it, or you can describe the exact circumstances under which that question relates, then that's much more likely to help you get a decent answer. Okay, another thing, if you do get trolled, don't rise to it. Some of these people are professional trolls and they're very, very good at winding people up, and they actually take great pleasure in it. So if you find that you're getting repeated answers back on something that's unhelpful, you're best off just ignoring it. The block button's always there if you need it. Another thing, arguing the law. Don't argue the law. The law is the law. We can't change it. So if, for example, like mine, I have a commercial van, it's a panel van, the speed limit on the dual carriageways is 60 miles an hour. If I'm doing 75 and I get nicked, it's on me. It was down to me to know what speed my vehicle can do. So it is a little bit confusing, the speed limits around vans and conversions and things like that. But do your research, know where you stand on it, and then hopefully you won't get a rap on the knuckles, you won't get an extra 3 points, and you won't get the fine that goes with it. So there's sort of my top tips for today. I'm probably going to come up with some more, but I've been chatting for a little while already, so I'm going to go now and, I've got to get the caddy down to the garage. So I'm off to Talk Automotive to go and see Marco, who's going to go and do a little bit of tweaking for me. So until next time, see you later.